Every night the girl went somewhere, and then her father decided to follow her. A man named Tom from California found his little 5-year-old daughter Emma disappearing somewhere every day after dinner, always at the same time, between 6 and 7 p.m. It was unusual for Emma to go out for an hour or so. She usually played in the field behind the house, but never went off in an unknown direction, especially for several evenings. What's more, when the worried father tried to talk to his daughter about it, she was always avoiding answering. So, Tom began to worry. He was concerned about where the little girl might disappear and why she kept it a big secret. Let's talk about Emma herself first. She was an exciting and mature child, going to kindergarten, loving to play with her toys, and taking care of her pets. Everyone she knew said that the little girl was very advanced and that she was incredibly entertaining to talk to. Emma also had a very kind heart and often did good deeds. You might ask why this is only about her father and his worries. Her mother was on an extended business trip, so only Tom was temporarily involved in her daughter's care. Shrouded in doubt and misunderstanding what was happening, the man decided to talk to his little daughter and find out what she was hiding. However, the girl was stubbornly silent, and no explanation could be given. She only told her father that she had to keep leaving, and that he had to ask Tom not to worry about her. Of course, such an answer did not please the worried man. When he realized that his daughter wouldn't tell him anything, he decided to find the truth on his own. When Emma slipped out of the house on the 5th day immediately after dinner, he knew that he had only 1 hour to search his daughter's room. He was determined to find out the truth. He rushed into her room and immediately opened the drawers of her wardrobe. Her clothes were scattered, and every toy had been turned inside out. However, he still couldn't find anything. A sudden glance stretched out a white piece of paper from under the girl's pillow. What could this cryptic note say? Tom pushed back the pillow, picked up the letter, and began to read. "Come to the house on the edge of the field at precisely 6:30. Just make sure no one follows you." That's what the note said. Tom was getting worried. While the man had previously thought his daughter was sneaking off to play somewhere out of the house, it was now a matter of principle to uncover the secret. She was hiding. What the hell was going on? Why did my daughter have to come alone for several days in a row? And who was the center of this strange message? All these thoughts swirled around in his head like a hurricane. His heart started beating twice as fast. Only one thing left for the father to do: to follow his daughter on the 6th day. Tom was all set. So he waited impatiently for the scheduled time in his room, with the door open so he could discreetly keep an eye on little Emma as soon as she was out of the house. The clock struck 6 in the evening, and his thoughts distracted him because his daughter was nowhere to be found. Tom quickly ran to the house's back door and was there just in time. He saw Emma almost disappear into the trees behind their house. When Tom got closer, the little girl was already out of sight, but he knew the place mentioned in the note well enough. So catching up with his daughter wasn't too tricky. The 5-hectare estate on which Tom lived with his wife and child had been in his family's ownership for almost a century, and the mysterious house had been his grandparents' former halt, and no one had lived in it for over 50 years. At least that's what he thought. As he got closer, Tom saw a silhouette on the balcony of the abandoned house, but he could not determine whether it was a man's or a woman's. He hid behind a tree nearby and decided to wait for his daughter. What was Emma doing here? The worried father wondered. He didn't have to wait long. A few minutes later, his little girl appeared on the other side of the field. She knocked hard on the door with her fist, and a mysterious silhouette opened it. Emma stepped inside. What was this stranger doing in the house? And more importantly, what was he doing with Emma? The frightened man followed his daughter, and luckily managed to get inside. He had the key to the old building. As quietly as possible, he tried to open the back door. Slowly but surely, he entered the room where he soon heard his daughter talking to a stranger. It was a woman's voice. Tom stood near the doorway and tried to catch a glimpse of the situation inside. They were engaged in something. Tom heard many footsteps, but it was challenging to understand. And then Emma suddenly opened the door. Tom managed to hide around the corner before his daughter noticed him. She came out of the house and was most likely on her way home. Of course, he could follow the child at this point, but first, he had to find out what the woman was doing with his daughter. When the girl stepped away, Tom left his hiding place and walked out to the stranger. He shuddered when he saw what was going on in the room. There were over 20 dogs of different breeds and sizes, and an older woman was sitting in the corner. "What the hell is going on here?" shouted an angry yet shocked Tom on seeing the unexpected guest. It was an older woman who was very frightened and tried to sneak out into the street quickly. But Tom stopped her. "Stop. I want to know what you are doing here and why my little daughter visits you every day secretly from me," the man asked angrily. The confused and embarrassed older woman cried and sat down again. She was well aware that she would not be able to leave quickly. She took a deep breath and told him her sad story. The woman said that her life had been tough. She had seen all her family members and friends die in recent years. She was left alone and ended up in an older adult's home close to Emma's kindergarten. It was a lonely existence. "I was abused there, and they even raised their hands at me. I'd forgotten what it was like to enjoy life until I met your little girl. She's lovely," the woman said. She added, "When I was 80 years old, I could no longer tolerate such staff attitude. So I decided to run away from the institution and could not tell anyone where I found myself and lived on the street. Otherwise, they would bring me back." The woman had been living on the road with her stray dogs for over a year. She was incredibly malnourished and thought she would die soon, as there wasn't enough food, and she had to share it with a group of other animals who were just like her, homeless. "The dogs were the only family I had, but in a short period, they had many puppies, and I didn't know how to feed them all anymore," said the woman with tears in her eyes. But then she met little Emma. It is fair to say that this lovely little girl was a guardian angel for the older woman, despite her young age. One day, the girl was on her way home from the kindergarten near their house when she saw the unfortunate woman. During their conversation, Emma told her about the house on the estate and how she could live there safely and secretly. She claimed, "I'd been living there for about a month, but soon all my food ran out because I had to share it with all the animals." She added, her eyes downcast with sadness, "That's when sweet Emma decided to come to my rescue again." The woman said, "For the past week, the girl had been visiting the old lady and her dogs every day. She played with the animals and asked if they were all right. But when there was no food, the girl found a way out by taking as much as possible from her house and giving it to the older woman and her pets. Of course, this was catastrophically not enough, but we managed to survive this way." When Tom heard the sad and touching story, he let the woman stay at the house and rushed home to talk to his daughter. The woman said, "We are very grateful for that." Letting a tear well up, Tom himself cried with her. When he returned home, Emma was already sitting in a chair in the backyard. Tom ran up to his daughter and hugged her tightly. He told the little girl that he had followed her and knew all about the old lady and her dogs. "Your deed impressed me to the core, but please don't keep any more secrets from me," said the worried father. His worries that day turned into enormous admiration and pride for his little daughter. And when Tom told his wife the story, Emma's parents did something unbelievable. They decided to rescue the elderly lady Linda and her furry pets as a family. The woman was allowed to live in the house for free and received enough food daily for herself and her dogs. But that's not all. The family shared this incredible story online, and several dog charities were able to raise enough money to turn the house into a shelter for street dogs officially. Soon, 40 stray animals were being cared for by Linda, Emma, and her parents, who successfully rehomed them. They regularly received photos and letters from happy owners, all thanks to the courageous attitude of a 5-year-old girl. That's all for now. Share this story with your friends and talk to you soon.